So Phoebe has agreed to help me and the other PDIs in the group and the other ADIs with respect to their standards checks and their part 3 training moving forward. So say hello, Phoebe.
Hello.
Say hello, Pete. Hello, Pete. There we are. So Peter said hello as well. Okay, right. So what I'm showing Phoebe here now is the sheet that an examiner examining us as driving instructors would potentially be looking at while they observe us, what we do and when we do it. Okay, so I'll explain it all to you first of all, and then I'll ask you these questions on this, and then we'll see where you think it is and did we do what we needed to do, etc., right?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Right. So this category here, competency, it goes from 0 to 1, 2, and 3. And if we look at that now, no evidence, in other words, I didn't do it, or we didn't do it together. Demonstrated in a few elements, so occasionally now and again, so you get 1 point for that. Demonstrated in most elements, so most of the time I would have been doing that. Demonstrated in all elements, so every time I needed to do it, for whatever the reason, I did it. Now understand that this sheet, effectively, the way that most people talk about it, including the gentleman I did my training with, this sheet means absolutely nothing. It's only there for their benefit. Ultimately, I've got to be able to give, or we are supposed to be able to give, a lesson that keeps you safe and there is progression within that lesson. So if you start off at the beginning of the lesson with a lesson plan, a lesson goal, did that progressively improve? Did I make sure that I risk assessed and kept you safe where it was appropriate? And did learning take place by the end of the lesson? And then did we do certain things as part of that lesson to fill out this sheet?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're going to have a look at lesson planning first of all. So these are the questions that the examiner will have in front of them and have to consider with respect to the questions that I've got on the other sheet that I will be encouraging PDIs to use with their pupils as they build up through their part 3 towards their final exam, and ADIs in the group that should be now doing this, and if they come up to a standards check, which is a check that we get occasionally to make sure that we are on form, are they covering those subjects?
Yeah.
Okay, so lesson planning. Question 1. Did the trainer identify the pupils' learning goals and needs? Question 2. Was the agreed lesson structure appropriate for the pupils' experience and ability? Question 3. Were the practice areas suitable? Question 4. Was the lesson plan adapted when appropriate to help the pupil work through their learning goals? So that's lesson planning. Risk assessment. Yeah? Remember when we put the crash helmets on?
Yeah.
Yeah? And we put the 6-part harness on?
Yeah. We
That was
floaties around the car.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And we ripped the handbrake up and pull out in front of all those cars. Remember all that?
Yeah.
That was me saying, Phoebe, calm down. When I said, that was me coming in and assessing the risk. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay. Right, but do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's risk assessment, right? Okay, cool. Right, so did the trainer ensure that the pupil fully understood how the responsibility for the risk would be shared? So do you know when asking all the questions at the beginning?
Yeah.
That's where that comes in, right? Okay. Do you want to read the next one?
Were directions and instructions given to the pupil clear and given in good time?
Okay, so when we're giving you direction, they'll be sitting there. Did I leave it too late? Did I do it too early? Those type of things, yeah? Okay. Were opportunities and examples used to clarify learning outcomes? Yeah? So, oh, that's teaching, sorry. We've moved on to the wrong one, have I? Hang on. Apologies, right. Directions and so, was the trainer aware of the surroundings and the pupil's actions? So in other words, Was I paying attention to you?
Yeah. And when
So-
you spotted that car before I did.
Yeah, exactly. So do you know when I said to you at the start of the lesson, I'm 20% out the window, 80% I'm watching you.
Yeah.
That's what that's all about, yeah? Okay.
So obviously those percentages would change based on the student and where they're at.
Ideally, I should be able to look at the road ahead and go, yeah, no. Keep an eye on you. I should be looking at it and I should be spotting it like that.
But like when you've got like a new person in that's like fresh,
Yeah.
wouldn't you're more focused on the road now because
So we would then be, that comes down to the lesson planning. Were we in the correct area?
Okay, that makes sense.
I wouldn't drop you straight in the middle of the town if you've never driven a car before. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you know what? Let's go straight in the middle of the town. But I've never driven
Good
a
luck.
Don't worry about that. It's okay. I'm watching the road more often. I'm going to clear what you're doing, but I'm watching the road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah?
Makes sense.
Fair enough, isn't it? Yeah. So we got to think about where we take you, an appropriate area. Can you do what you need to do, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was any verbal or physical intervention by the trainer timely and appropriate? So when we had that discussion, because I had to come in, I felt that was appropriate based on what developed. Can you see now
Yeah.
why
100%.
we had that conversation? See where it's all coming from?
Yeah.
So every lesson you have, I am always on it.
And to be fair, I saw that as well in the was the lesson plan adapted? Obviously we started with uphill starts, and then when you were like, yeah, you've got this, let's move on to something that
Yeah.
you're struggling with,
Yeah.
and did roundabouts, and then kind of helped my overall learning get where it needed to be. The lesson was adapted.
And we adapted the lesson in several places when you think about it. Meeting traffic,
Yeah.
speed bumps. That's an adaptation of lesson.
Yeah.
So there was always learning taking place within the lesson, wasn't it? Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that you've spotted that. Yeah. Okay. Was sufficient feedback given to the pupil to understand the potential safety critical incidents? Side the road, conversation, had a chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. The conversations at the end of the lesson, all of those type of things. Yeah. Right. Teaching and learning strategies. Was the teaching style suited to the pupil's learning style and current ability? Yeah. So if you think about the way I used to teach you in the beginning, to the way I teach you now, it was more books, iPads,
Yeah.
that type of thing to get that knowledge going. Now it's more doing, question and answer, prompting, help when necessary. So we've changed now, and within this lesson we changed the teaching structure, didn't we?
Yeah.
Remember we did the roundabouts and we stripped it back?
Yeah. That helped massively.
Well, that's what it's about. So
Yeah.
I changed how I approach the problem to be able to get you to do what you need to do. And what was the end goal?
I ended up doing it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it worked then, didn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Was the pupil encouraged to analyse problems and take responsibility for their own learning?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times I say to you, got it? Right. On you
Yeah.
go. You're responsible for this now. Have a go for yourself.
And
Yeah?
every time there is a mistake, it's, so what do you think went wrong there? What do you think happened there? Like, you always give me a chance to like reflect first,
Yeah.
before like guiding me along and be like, oh, have you thought about this?
I haven't paid you to say that, have I?
No.
Are you sure? Okay. I'll pay you after. I picked the right people for this video, didn't I?
But no, it's true though. Like, I can definitely see going through it, the various like points that we do in every single lesson.
Have I got to pay extra for that? I'll be skinned at this rate. What do you want, free lessons or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but are you starting to see now what happens in the car and why I word things the way I do
Yeah.
and why we have the conversation? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Because I have to adhere to these standards, or I should adhere to these standards
Otherwise
at
you
all
fail.
times. At all times.
Yeah.
Because if I don't adhere to this, when I then suddenly sit an exam, or I sit a standards check, do you know we're talking about muscle memory for you guys?
Yeah.
If I form bad muscle memory, I'm not going to be able to adhere to this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
The
So
same as
this-
us not checking our mirrors out of lessons. It means we're going to forget to check our mirrors in
Exactly.
lessons.
That's what it's all about, yeah?
100%.
Right, okay. Was the technical information given comprehensive, appropriate and accurate? Was the pupil given appropriate and timely feedback during the session? Were the pupil's queries followed up and answered? So did you ask questions? Yeah. Did we give you those answers? Did we explain it to you, etc., etc.? Yeah. Did the trainer maintain an appropriate non-discriminatory? Say that? Discriminatory. Well, both of us are. Yeah. Bingo. Yeah, non-discriminatory manner throughout the lesson. Yeah. Now we know, and I know, there's been lessons where I would probably have had a bit of a cane into that. Yeah. But whether my mannerism on occasions might have been perceived as inappropriate, was it professional? Did it work?
Yeah.
And was it needed at that time based on what was happening and developing?
Yeah.
Yeah? So for me, as long as I'm not smacking you with a ruler, which is what I used to get, I did. My driving instructor, if I did it 3 times, bang, I had a ruler. And you can ask... Oh, he did, don't worry. I actually hit him once. He looked at me and said, don't hit me with that again. Okay, well, don't do that again. I said, I won't, but don't hit me again. Genuinely did, right? Yeah. Did the trainer maintain it? We've done that one. At the end of the session, was the pupil encouraged to reflect on their own performance? So, you know, we did all the questions and all that. Yeah. Right, okay. So, that effectively is what they mark us on. And you were already saying that, oh yeah, that makes... So you're starting to see what it all is now, anyway, yeah? Okay, so what we're going to do now is this is a sheet that I have borrowed and I forgot to give back. I haven't stolen it. If they ask, they can have it back. Okay?
Fair.
Just forgot to give it back.
That's fair.
Thank you. Right. Was the lesson goal set? What was the goal set? What was the goal set for the lesson? Did we set a lesson goal?
Hill starts.
So yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, cool. Were the roles and responsibilities set out before the car moved?
Yeah. You asked me what level of instruction I'd want. I said that I wanted to start and try and do it independently and then come in with voice if I'm struggling, that kind of thing.
And then we agreed, and I spoke about the pedals, what the meaning of them were, the ability to keep you safe, etc., and all of that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, yeah, and we set that together, didn't we? And we asked the questions on you, right? What was the instructor's role and what were their responsibility for? So, keeping you safe, and I said... about that. I said I was going to use voice to keep you safe, and I said I was going to elevate the level of instruction and potentially come in with prompting where it was needed if I felt there was something developing, didn't I? Yeah. What was the pupil's role and what were they responsible for? So you were responsible for
also to keeping us safe.
Yeah.
Driving safely.
Driving safely. That's right. So we discussed that you would drive safely. You had responsibility of driving.
Yeah.
And that you independently wanted to do it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And I then, by telling you effectively what I was going to be responsible for.
You'd also told me what I would be responsible for.
Well, we discussed it amongst us, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or did I tell you?
I think they usually go hand in hand. It's like, I'm going to do this, you're going to do that.
But do I say, right, you do this and I do that? Or do I say, okay, what would you like?
Oh, yeah.
Lesson?
It's always a discussion first.
There's a discussion, isn't there? And then I look to get the answers off you, don't I? Yeah? And sometimes I offer guidance, don't I? Okay, cool. Did the instructor change the focus of their teaching when a learning need became obvious? What was the change and why? We've already discussed that, haven't we? Roundabouts, speed bumps, meeting traffic, all of that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did the instructor hand over more responsibility or take back some responsibility at any time? Thinking about the roundabouts, what did I take away?
My indicator. I was not allowed to indicate.
That's right. Did I elevate the level of instruction?
Yes.
Did we then discuss a means of putting the pause in?
Yeah.
And then when we did a couple of loops, what did I do?
Gave the indicator back.
And how did that help?
It allowed me to So I was forgetting to check my mirrors when going and like coming off of a roundabout. So we took away the indicator so I could focus on mirrors, so that when I came back to it, had my indicator back, I was in the habit of checking my mirrors and then indicating. So I was doing it in the right order.
So it worked?
Yeah.
Cool. Did you say take back some? And was it clearly communicated?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was very clearly communicated, wasn't it, right? Was time given for the pupil to reflect on any learning opportunities?
Yeah, any time that there was like a mistake that we felt warranted pulling over, having a little chat about, and then continuing, making sure that I was on the same page and had learned from my mistake.
Cool. So we had those discussions.
Yeah.
So we did that together, yeah?
For sure.
Cool. Was time given to the pupil to put into practice what they had been discussing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Here's a
usually what
discussion.
followed.
And then we carried on and we had another go.
Yeah.
And if there was a problem, what did we do?
Try again or adapt the technique. No?
Are you sure you haven't read this before?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much...
Go on.
There's no lessons every lesson. So it makes sense.
Oh, I love you loads. Honestly, really good to me.
It's almost like we've been training for this. It's almost like you've been training for this.
Every lesson, I do this.
Yeah. It does. It really shows.
And that's what it's all about. Every single lesson.
Yeah.
So, why do we pass? Why do we pass every test? Well, everyone that sits in this car...
Oh, because
usually,
it's because of the learning that we've done and the techniques that you've used and following.
Which is what the DVSA want from us.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
100%.
Got it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I see now why you were... Because I was like worried before starting this. I was like, what if I get questions wrong? Put on the spot. But it makes sense that you were confident, because this is what we do every lesson. So
cool. All right. Yes. Do you feel the route was suitable for the pupil? Why or why not? So the route that we chose today.
Yeah. I feel like we've definitely done harder routes, but it was just to specifically.
So we started off looking at
the hill starts.
Yeah.
So they were suitable in the sense of like, it was what's the word? They married up with what we wanted to learn for the lesson.
So was there too much traffic on the routes that we chose today?
No, I don't think
We
so.
kept it nice and simple, stayed in an area where we specifically looked at hill starts.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to roundabouts. That was a little bit more chaotic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
still, we've done those kind of like environments before.
Yeah.
So
you didn't feel it was out of scope for you or too much for you to cope with? Cool, right. Who did the analysing? Who did the solution finding? Was time allowed for the pupil to put solutions into practice? So, who analysed? So, do you know when we had an issue or a problem and I'd say, okay, what did you think of that?
You're getting me to analyse.
So there's a question, you're analysing, but we're analysing together.
Yeah.
Okay? Who did the solution finding? What do you think we could do differently?
Yeah.
Yeah? Was time for the pupil to put the solution into practice? Okay, so we know what went wrong. We've talked about it. Should we go and have a go at fixing it?
Yeah.
Can you see where those three questions come in now?
100%.
And then off you go.
I feel like you've got like a script written out at home that you practice for your lessons.
That and this.
Yeah, but you put it into like phrasing that's like understandable.
And that's where...
and like helpful for the lesson.
Did I adapt the lesson? Did my learning techniques, did I adapt my learning techniques?
Makes sense.
See?
Yeah.
So you can see all those questions get answered now, don't you, yeah? Can you see what it's all about now?
Yeah.
Cool. Were any safety critical or potential safety critical incidents dealt with appropriately? So, meeting. Yeah?
You taking control.
I came in.
Stopping down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did I leave it progress long enough for you to understand why I stepped in?
Yeah.
Did I step in straight away, or did I give you an
Yeah,
opportunity?
you give us a chance to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
For sure. And
Okay.
you also do ask afterwards if you think that if we think that you stepped in too soon. Which I think is helpful for like
Go on.
the chance of, okay, in the future, and I think there has been a couple times where you've been like, do you feel like I've stepped in too soon? I've said yeah, and then you've been like, okay, let's do it again. I'll minimize my voice. We'll see how you do, and then we almost like reevaluate where we're at, which I think is helpful.
So we're analysing.
Yeah.
We're giving you opportunity to develop. Can you see how it all works now?
Yeah.
See?
100%.
Got it? Cool. Did the lesson include conversations where both the instructor and the pupil listened and responded to each other? What are we actually doing right here, right now?
Exactly that.
We are exactly doing that.
Yeah.
We're asking questions, we're responding, we're talking to one another. Did we do that throughout the lesson?
Yeah.
Absolutely we did, yeah. What did the pupil learn by the end of the lesson? So,
New techniques for roundabouts, massively. The counting between mirrors and signal, just to slow me down a little bit, so that I'm not like faffing and rushing and flapping.
yeah. So you learnt a new technique. Did that help you with your roundabouts?
Massively, yeah.
So if you think about the roundabout part of the lesson before, if you were to scale yourself there, 0 being I'm no good, 10 I'm brilliant, where would you?
4.
4.
I don't think I was great.
By entering that new technique in, and by having a go at that then for yourself, after I took my voice away and I handed back that responsibility, where would you scale yourself then?
Like 6.5. I
6.5.
think needs some practice to like
Okay.
iron it out and get it like muscle memory properly.
Okay.
But like to the point where I'm confident. I don't feel like my mistakes were as bad.
Okay.
Well,
Well, just so you understand now,
do.
7 is test ready. 7 is assessment ready.
Yeah.
So you are virtually more than safe enough to go on the road
Yeah.
and continue then to adapt and continue to progress thereafter. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. At the end of the lesson, who reflected on the drive?
I mean, both of us, but I think you leave space for it to be like more reflecting for me.
Okay. So I ask questions at the end of the lesson, for example, like this. Okay. Did learning take place today and what went well?
It's given me the chance to reflect, yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
So there's me asking a question, you're reflecting, and then I say, okay, what about when we did that? Did we learn there as well? So there might be something that you've forgotten and I'm pointing that out to you. Yeah, that was really good. That was
prompting, but allowing us to.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, for me, personally, I actually feel that by the end of the lesson, your roundabouts were actually superb.
Yeah.
Big difference, etc., etc. So that's me also reflecting with you.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you could do anything different, what would you do to make things better? That's another reflective question, isn't it?
Just more practice. It's always just more practice.
Okay, but then when we've pinpointed something more specific, what do we say? What's the next question that comes out of my mouth usually?
Oh,
So, go on.
I don't know. It's usually with me specifically. It's usually have you been checking the videos? Have you been studying? Have you
Okay,
been
so
writing it
that's
down?
your coursework. So do you know when we spoke a little bit earlier off camera and we said, and you turned to me and you said, parking, I'm not quite sure about my parking, my 4-bay parking, all that. I then turned around and I said, okay, thinking about that.
What are we going to do next lesson?
Correct. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah? So that then, yeah?
Yeah.
Boom. Next question. Who set the goal for the next lesson?
Oh, yeah. I see you.
Got it?
Yeah. 100%.
So those questions there, if I'm covering this with you, and you're covering it with me, and this is part and parcel of our lessons, that covers these questions here.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So, helpful?
Yeah, very.
Cool. Thank you for your time. I'm really grateful. That was really helpful.
Okay.
Okay, so just to round it all off, as long as you're happy for me to put this on YouTube.
Yep, that's fine.
Cool, fantastic. So I'll upload this onto YouTube later. It's a little bit long to go on TikTok and all that because all these kids like 30-second snippets and all that. And I'll put it in the other group that we've
Cool.
got as well for the pupils and the ADIs and the PDIs to see. You happy with that?
Yeah, that's
Cool,
fine.
right. Yeah, so anybody comes across this video, hopefully this will help you with regards to your development from PDI to ADI. And also, I'm hoping it'll help ADIs that are always getting a little bit panicky about the standards check and everything else that comes up, all right? As long as you follow that guidance, as long as you follow those notes, you will be okay, all right? So you need to keep them safe. Learning needs to take place. Don't be scared to step in when you need to step in verbally. Don't be scared to step in physically if you need to step in physically. Work with them. Listen to them. It's about them, not you.
As well, a big part of it is pushing us to think independently, obviously keeping us safe, but like in those moments when we're reflecting and in those moments where we're looking back or at like what we've done, it's just pushing us to like reflect and learn it ourselves with guidance, obviously.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah. So hopefully you'll find this helpful, guys. Massive thank you to Phoebe. And we look forward to anybody that needs any further help and assistance getting hold of us here at Brilliant Driving School. Thanks, guys, for listening, and hopefully we'll be doing more videos moving forward. Take care. Bye. Ta-ra.